So unnecessary talk is, Ouspensky put that as one of the 6 obstacles to self-consciousness, as being unconscious mechanical manifestations that we engage in when we are more asleep. And all of these obstacles like imagination, expression of negative emotion, identification, these are obstacles towards self-remembering, self-consciousness, and any further development. And they represent in themselves an attribute of sleep. And they are wasting energy. Basically, we don't have enough energy for inner work because the energy is wasted in this leaking. So unnecessary talk in the system, it is speaking, talking just for the sake of talking. It takes many forms, and there are different types of people. So some people are more prone to this, maybe more active types who have vanity feature, and some other types are more like passive, quiet types. They may not be necessarily prone to unnecessary talk externally. This unnecessary talk could be externally with words, but could be inside one's own head. So the narration is in a commentary, it's an aspect of unnecessary talk. And from one angle, you can see how this uncontrolled mind activity of imagination is linked to unnecessary talk, because that's what's happening in our head all the time. This talking, jumping, the monkey mind is jumping silently. So then when we are with someone, now the monkey mind will jump audibly. I was spending time with someone close to me or my family, and I could see that was all the time something wanted to be said, all the time something wanted to be said. And actually what she was saying was always very useful to me, and was coming from was trying to help me, and very useful and intelligent. And then there was a little bit of break, and then I could sense this like squirmy or something, is inability to just be, and I could see that it would produce another eye. So talking for the sake of talking. This can come from different parts, this observing unnecessary talk can be a portal for deeper investigation of our false personality. Could be see what's driving this. Could be this unnecessary talk coming from wanting to be seen, wanting to be recognized, wanting to be appreciated, wanting to be considered special, wanting for people to know that I know, wanting to take space to get the attention, wanting to be right. Could be talking to actually escape some sense of discomfort and awkwardness and self-consciousness in the usual psychology, like inner considering, embarrassment, anxiety. So it can come from very many reasons.
It can also be the result of inner considering. We will inner consider and we'll be feeling so uncomfortable because of the inner considering, we'll start talking. That's just one example of many.
Uspensky was once asked, what would be an example of necessary talk? And he said, can you pass me the salt, please? A classic form of unnecessary talk that is connected to aspects of our false personality, at least for myself. And in the initial group school where I learned these ideas was this talking about oneself. Talking about oneself is one of the easiest, the most mechanical thing one can do for some people. And you can actually observe in conversations somehow for many types, this is a favorite subject of talking. Like somebody says something and it's like, oh yeah, because I understood this, and when I went there, and then I this and I that, talking about one's insights, talking about one's revelations, talking about one's problems, difficulties, being, so actually a good exercise if you want to investigate this unnecessary talk, and is to put an exercise to for a few days or a few hours a few hours to not talk about oneself, and skillfully redirect attention away from oneself. Also, in the fourth way, we are encouraged as we interact with people that are not interested to do the work, not to slap them with the work, like, hey, you are gossiping and now you are expressing negative emotion and you are talking about yourself. So if people, they are not interested in this, we want to let them be and keep our work inconspicuous. And so not be weird, like, I'm in this group and we have this thing to awaken and not talk about ourselves. So that will be really unnecessary talk and vanity and all that. But to kind of, actually, it's interesting to ask people to see that actually is a method in dating or method in making friends, mechanical making friends and mechanical dating in these self-improvement books, ego self-improvement, to, hey, ask people about themselves. This is always works. Ask people who ask people about other people, these are always very likable. It's like, oh, it was such a wonderful conversation. Well, yeah, because you asked me about me and now I had the time, my ego, to kind of juice it up. So yeah, having a aim to limit talking about oneself.
It reminds me just quickly of a friend of mine. I used to know, he's deceased now, but he had a common joke when we would be having conversations with people, and he would say, after talking about himself for a while, he would say, well, enough about me. What do you think about me? It's also interesting to think about these two words, unnecessary and talk, and to investigate each of them separately as well as together. Why is it unnecessary? This is worth looking at more carefully. And then talk. Why talk? What is it about talk? And I think it's fair to say that behind the whole arena of unnecessary talk, which is a big arena, there's this feeling, it's ego-based, of wanting to validate that we exist, that we're valid as an identity, as a person. By giving our opinion, by arguing, by talking about ourselves, by taking space, as Mihai mentioned. All of this is it's a form of identification with being a person, and then that form has to fill this space. And it's very hard to do that if you don't talk. Anyway, these words are not arbitrarily chosen in the fourth way. These two particular words related to this. So it's good area of study just by itself to look at that.
Another idea is that to have relativity around this. I think Gurdjieff was saying for some people, talking means awakening, and for some other people, talking means sleep. For some people, need to talk less, and some people need to make an effort to talk. So just not talking depends on one's mechanics. Yeah, that might be an obstacle for anybody. But very likely the internal chatter, it's a manifestation of that. Also, it's good not to be extreme about this, you know, so not to get weird or robotic. There's a story I want to say before we move on. Ouspensky had a close friend of his who was a very intelligent, educated, seemingly very interested in philosophy and these ideas, and he's a public person. And Ouspensky wanted to bring him to Gurdjieff, wanted to bring him to meetings, and Gurdjieff told him, "Hey, it's not ready. It's not." And Ouspensky was, "No, he's really a deep person. I really know him, and he's really interested in these things. I would like to give him a chance to." And then finally Gurdjieff said, "Okay, you can bring him," and brought him to some dinner. And then to Ouspensky's stupor, or like he was shocked, Gurdjieff started asking this man some questions about himself. And then this man was like, "Oh, yeah." So then he started talking and talking and talking for hours and the whole dinner. And Gurdjieff was kind of looking at Ouspensky. And then the dinner ended. That guy didn't ask anything about the work, about Gurdjieff, about anything. And he said, "Oh, thank you so much. It was such a wonderful to meet you. And you are such a wonderful person, wonderful to talk to you." And then he left. And Gurdjieff was like, gave him the evil eye, and Ouspensky felt bad about it.